I want to share with you one of the greatest experiences I have ever had in my entire Christian life, and it occurred in November 2017. That day in late November, I had been having back pain and I wasn't able to move around much, and it became so excruciating, I actually had to go to the ER. They admitted me and they found out almost immediately that I was in heart and kidney failure, and they didn't know if I would survive or not. And simultaneously, they found out I had three other diseases that were attacking my organs. And so they began to fill me up with all sorts of medications on hope of I would not die. So I was literally on death's doorstep. So they kept putting all these medications in me to keep me alive. And on the second day, I had a very unusual experience. I was lifted up above my body, and I could literally look down, see my body in the hospital bed and people around the bed. And I began to look off in the distance, and I saw this cloud, this sort of a gray cloud coming towards me. And as it got closer, it obviously became larger and larger. And I realized it was God. He was coming in the cloud, which is a common description of how God appears in both the Old and New Testaments. In fact, he will come in the clouds at the end of the age. And as he drew closer, I began to experience this inner peace, which I cannot describe to you with human words because it's so indescribable, so different from even the most peaceful times I've ever had in my life. It was literally a type of joyful peace that everything around me was fine. There were no problems. God was not worried, that was obvious, and that he had everything under control. And I began to realize he had come for me. And so I spoke to the Father, and it's not really speaking words, it's really thinking thoughts to each other. And I looked back at him looked back at my family, and I asked him about what about them, my family? If I were to die, what will happen to them? And God spoke to me crystal clear with a peaceful, harmonious voice like streams running down a brook. And he said, they will be okay. At that moment, I knew everything would be okay. No matter what my situation was, no matter what would be the outcome, whether I would live or die, everything for them would be okay. And so I looked up at the Father and I said to him, thought the thought again, you decide whether I will go or stay. I won't make that decision. You make that decision. And for another couple of days, a cloud stood right in front of me. And then gradually over time, the cloud slowly withdrew back into heaven. And I knew God had left me here for a reason. For a long time, I began to ask him, what is it you want me to do? I didn't seem to have a real purpose or understanding of what was next. And then he made clear to me I was to stay and there was more work I had to do. And since that time, I've, through a series of events which were not anticipated, God has led me to produce podcasts for iTunes or the Truth Network, produce more videos, do more writing, and really I've become, I feel like, more productive now than I was 10 years ago. So that divine encounter has literally changed the course of my life and has given me clearly a new direction, almost a new career, and I will stick with it until he comes for me. I hope this is encouraging, and may God richly bless you as you seek his face.